everybody, and welcome to your food tech lesson for this week. Today I am going to teach you how to make the most delicious flourless chocolate cake. As Easter is fast approaching, I thought this might be a lovely recipe that you could make for your family to enjoy on Easter Sunday. To cook this recipe, you are going to need 6 eggs, 250 grams of caster sugar, 200 grams of dark chocolate. If you don't like dark chocolate, you can use milk instead. 200 grams of butter, 70 grams of cocoa, and a tablespoon of strong coffee. The first thing you are going to do to cook your chocolate cake is you are going to part fill a saucepan with water. You only want to put enough water in so that when your bowl sits on top, it does not touch the very base. So if you take it out of the bowl and the bottom is wet, just tip a little bit of water out. So into your bowl, you're going to add your chocolate and your butter. You're going to sit that over and simmer so that it slowly melts. While your butter and chocolate is slowly melting, the next thing you are going to want to do is to preheat your oven to 160 degrees. Make sure you check the oven rack so that your cake tin will fit in there nicely. You are going to need to use a 20 centimetre spring form cake tin. To line your cake tin, first you're going to want to give it a light spray, or you can grease it with butter. The next thing that you do, I'm just going to take the ring off, and I'm going to put my base on top of some baking paper, and I'm going to carefully trace around. Just like that. That will give you a nice line that you can follow. The next thing I'm going to do is get a long sheet of baking paper. I am going to fold that in half, and I'm going to cut down the middle. From here, I'm going to fold another line about 2 centimetres up and fold that in half. I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to cut lots of tiny little slits into the paper up to that folded line. Once you have cut your 2 strips of paper and your round circle, you're going to want to put your greased base back into your tin, and then you're going to close the tin. Really important that you remember to close the tin. If you don't, your cake might end up everywhere. We're now going to put our baking paper into the tin, and the reason we cut our strips is so that, as you can see, as you curl it over, it forms a really nice circle. If we didn't do this and we tried to just put paper into our baking tin, you might have a little bit of difficulty getting those really nice, smooth and professional edges. My second piece is going to sit over just like that, and then to finish, I am going to put the base pencil side down first. And you should end up with a beautifully lined baking tin, and we're going to set that aside for when we need it a little bit later. My butter and chocolate has now completely melted, so I'm going to turn that off. I'm then going to very carefully remove it from the heat. Because it is hot, I'm not going to put it straight onto my bench. I am then going to add my tablespoon of coffee and give it a really good stir until it is completely dissolved. Once your coffee is dissolved, let that sit until it slightly cools down. The next step to this recipe is you are going to separate your egg whites and your egg yolks. To do this, you're going to need 2 bowls and a knife. You also want to make sure that your eggs are at room temperature because you'll get more volume when whisking them. The easiest way I find to separate my egg whites is put your egg into your hand, With the back of the knife, not the sharp part of the knife, you're going to gently tap until you get a small little crack like that. Take the top part of your egg shell off, put that into the bin, and as you can see, most of the egg white has already come out. I'm then just going to carefully tip that into my hand, and I'm going to put my egg yolk into the other bowl. To mix my sugar and my egg yolks together, I'm going to use an electric mixer. If you don't have access to one of these, you can just whisk it by hand. If you're going to use an electrical appliance, please make sure that you have a parent or carer around and that they've checked it to make sure that it is set up correctly. I've whisked my egg yolks and my sugar for about 7 to 10 minutes, and as you can see, it has doubled in size. It's nice and thick and pale in colour. One of the easiest ways to see if your mixture is ready, grab a spatula, take a little bit of mix and see if you can draw an 8 on top. You want to be able to finish the 8 before it starts to dissolve back into your mixture. From there, you are going to grab your cocoa. You want to sift it before you add it. Add that into your bowl and give it a really good mix. My cocoa is now completely mixed into my eggs. I'm now going to go and grab my chocolate mix from earlier. Give it another little bit of a stir just to make sure that the butter hasn't separated from the chocolate. And then you're going to want to carefully and slowly add that to your mixture. Don't pour it all in at once, otherwise it's going to be really hard to mix. So just add one little part, give it a stir, and then add some more. Once your chocolate and butter have completely mixed into your egg mixture, we're going to put that to the side and we're going to whisk our egg whites. To do this, you're going to need a really clean bowl. If there's any grease or dirt in your bowl, your egg whites will not whisk up. So add your egg whites, grab your mixing device, and you're probably going to want to whisk it for about 2 to 3 minutes. I'm now going to add my egg whites into my chocolate mixture. Similar to when we added our chocolate and butter into our eggs before, you only want to put a little bit in at a time. You also want to really slowly and carefully mix in those egg whites, being really careful not to knock out any air. As you can see now, my cake mixture is now ready. I'm going to give it one last good mix just to make sure I haven't missed anything at the bottom. And I'm going to grab my cake tin that we lined earlier. I always like to cook my cakes or anything in the oven on an extra tray just to make it easier to get into and out of the oven, and if for some reason you have a little bit of an accident, it's going to keep your oven a little bit cleaner, which I'm sure Mum and Dad will be very thankful for. So carefully pour your mixture into your pan, making sure you scrape out as much as possible. You might need to ask someone to help you with this spot. They can hold the bowl while you scrape it in. Our cake is now ready to go into the oven. We're going to cook it for about an hour or until a skewer comes out nice and clean. Our cake has been cooking for about an hour, and I'm just going to pull it out of the oven and see if it's cooked. When taking food out of the oven, I'm going to make sure that I'm wearing oven mitts on both hands. I'm also going to be really careful and put it on a wire rack so I don't damage my veg top. Our cake looks and smells absolutely delicious, and I'm very excited to taste this. I'm going to use a skewer. You can use a wooden or metal skewer. If you don't have a skewer, you can use the tip of a knife. And I'm just going to test it a few times just to see if it is cooked. And as you can see, the skewer is coming out nice and clean, so that is ready to go. To decorate our chocolate cake, I've got some cocoa here. I'm just going to dust it with a really light coating, not too much because it can be a bit heavy. Going to grab a few berries and just sprinkle them on. And because it's Easter, we're also going to add a few Easter eggs. So this is our finished flourless chocolate cake, and can I just say it looks absolutely delicious and I cannot wait to dig in and have a slice. I hope you have enjoyed cooking with me today. Please send your photos of your cakes and whatever else you cook over these holidays. Have a wonderful and safe Easter, and I really look forward to seeing you all next time. See you guys.